Hi everybody! Update video! It has been a long time since I've made a video to tell y'all how things are going. As you can see, my eyelashes and eyebrows are back in full force and I am so amped. So that's been a fun thing, and my hair is like the world's shortest pixie cut ever. I think I'm going to keep it like this for a while because it's pretty fun. Yeah, I finished chemo now almost 3 months ago. I was up at camp, was still getting these like GI episodes and feeling sick, and so I have been back in San Diego. Mike has still been up at camp for a couple, like 3 weeks without me, kind of interspersed, so we've seen each other in between, but yeah, he's been doing that, and I just have been trying to get some answers about what's still going on in my body, and a lot of it is stuff that was pre-existing cancer and chemo, and it's pretty wild to me that it took a cancer diagnosis for me to deal with things that have been going on for several years. And I guess it's like the cancer part was a helpful kind of, like, the door was opened in a way. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's been good to see. I'm seeing a new naturopath who's in La Jolla, and she's really great. Her name is Dr. Brooke Leverone. She actually went to school with Dr. Matt, who is the naturopath that I used to see in Seattle. And so I've been in touch with him actually a lot throughout the treatment process, and he's actually been a lot more helpful to me than the naturopathic oncologist that I was talking to after each chemo round. She just wasn't natural enough for me. So I was kind of talking to him as like my doctor mistress on the side is what I call him. But he was really helpful, and he and Dr. Leverone went to school together, so that's really cool to know that they know each other, and they both went to Bastyr up in Seattle, and I just really trust Bastyr's education and philosophy, and Dr. Leverone has just been very helpful in explaining to me kind of what's going on and helping me be a part of it. So I did a very extensive stool panel that tested for all kinds of things from parasites and stuff to every different kind of bacteria to candida to some like maybe neurotransmitters. I don't know. There was a lot of info, but I did a 4-point saliva test to check adrenal function, and basically they're checking cortisol levels 4 different times during the day, and so I had to like chew on this piece of wax and produce 5 milliliters of spit, which is kind of a lot. It took me like 10 minutes, and I would just be like chewing on the wax and then spitting into this little vial. And then I also did a lot of blood work. So I got all of those test results back on, I think it was Tuesday that I went and saw her. And thankfully I recorded a voice memo for the whole appointment because it was a lot of information and I knew that I wouldn't be able to remember all of it on my own. So that's been cool to get to listen back on because she did a really good job of explaining kind of what different things are going on and how they're connected and related to each other. So kind of the highlights are I do have a lot of good gut bacteria, so that is both surprising and wonderful. And I also, though, have quite a bit of bad bacteria that has been growing. So essentially, when you eat like fruit that has bacteria on it or meat or whatever, most people's bodies are strong enough to kill that off, but mine was not, and probably hasn't been for a long time. So I have that bad bacteria that has grown. And I also have 2 different kinds of candida. And for those of you that don't know, candida is a yeast overgrowth. And so we all have yeast in our digestive tract, but we're only supposed to have so much. So usually it shows up about 50% of the time in stool. So the fact that I had 2 different kinds show up says that I probably have quite a bit of yeast going on. So tomorrow I am starting an anti-candida diet. That means zero sugar, including natural sugars. So like no maple, no honey, no fruit, no grains or starchy vegetables. So I'm basically going to be living on like meat, fat, and veggies. And I'm probably going to feel really good. So yay for that, because candida is connected to so many issues that I have going on and have had going on for a long time, from like constantly feeling like I have like I'm about to get a cold kind of in the back of my throat, like kind of nose throat area, constant post-nasal drip, muscle pain and spasms and joint pain is connected with that. Poor sleep is connected with that. Poor absorption of nutrients is connected with candida. It's just crazy. Like the list goes on and on. So I've actually been thinking today about what all of those connecting things are, because I'm really going to need that while I'm doing the anti-candida diet. Because I'm doing 2 rounds of a prescription antifungal medication, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks of that, then 2 weeks of an herbal antifungal, then 2 weeks of an herbal antimicrobial, and doing the anti-candida diet the whole time. So essentially, like on this first prescription, it's called fluconazole. If I eat sugar while I'm taking fluconazole, I'm basically creating yeast that are resistant to that treatment, which is so not good. So the stakes are going to be quite high for that. I did some meal planning today to try and prep for it, because it's going to be really, really challenging. So that's going on. And I have a vitamin D deficiency, which is really surprising given how much time I purposely spend in the sun. But apparently it's becoming more and more common for people to have vitamin D receptors that are dysfunctional, so that your body doesn't produce enough vitamin D on its own. So I'm taking a liquid thing for that. And then I'm also going on an adrenal supplement, because I have some pretty good adrenal fatigue going on that I think has been happening for probably the last several years. And so that's very connected with hormone stuff. And basically with the saliva test, when they're testing the cortisol levels, in someone that has adrenal fatigue, the cortisol is really low during the day, and your adrenals are like, we're trying. And then at night, they finally kick into gear and shoot up. So then you have poor sleep, because you're waking up frequently because you're having this cortisol spike, as well as a lot of other things. I mean, during the day, feeling exhausted, and like the most basic stuff like emptying the dishwasher or making my bed, it feels really hard. Like I have to kind of pep talk myself to do it, and that's not a sign of a very healthy adrenal system. So then with the cortisol going up at night, I have had so many nights where I'm not tired at night, and I do things like clean the whole kitchen, or I deep clean like my room, or whatever. It usually has to do with cleaning. So for me, I'm like, if I gotta ride the wave of cleaning and it's crashing at 10, 11 o'clock at night, like I gotta do it, because during the day I don't feel like I have the energy to do that. So I'm trying to do some sleep hygiene. I'm getting ready for bed at 9 o'clock every night, trying to be in bed by 10 or 10:30 and have this whole bedtime routine. And basically taking care of my body is like a really full-time job right now, and I'm doing like pretty well right in this moment, but the last week or so has been really, really hard, and I've been feeling like kind of down and depressed, and then not sleeping well on top of that just kind of perpetuates the whole thing. So that has been really challenging, and just this journey is a really long one, and I think that I have these, it kind of comes in waves, but every now and then I have these, whether it's a moment or a few days at a time, of being like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to feel good for a really long time. And I have to stay so motivated and disciplined on all of these self-care things to finally feel well. And that feels really overwhelming. And I also have just been, I think the reality of what has been lost in this season has set in the last week. Um, from, life as a newlywed to Mike leaving his job to, the loss of, health and wellness that we both have had physically and mentally, depending on the day. And some of those things will be, they will be redeemed, and I'm really thankful for that. But the grief of having been diagnosed with cancer at age 28 just hits me every now and then. And this week in particular, I visited a friend that has cancer, and Rachel's recovering from cancer, and one of my cousin's college friends died from stage 4 lung cancer, and I feel really, really angry and sad about that. And today was driving to visit this friend who has a brain tumor, and I just was like feeling guilty about being where I am now. And like there are a lot of really beautiful things that are happening in my body that are signs of healing, like that my hair is growing back, and a lot of other things that are good reminders of that to me. But also it's just not fair, and it's not fair that people that anyone is dying from cancer, and that young people who are otherwise healthy are dying of this. It's so angering to me, and I feel, I just like kind of feel guilty sometimes about me being in remission, and this wasn't like an easy thing to get here, but it happened pretty fast. And a lot of people are in treatment for years to go into remission, and I'm just trying to really be wise about what I do with that anger that I'm feeling, and also what I do with being healthy and well, and choosing to celebrate that. Oh, my mom just got home from work, so she'll probably come say hi. But what I do with that, because I want to be constantly reminded to just thank the Lord for the healing that He's done in my body. And I know that I've been allowed to experience all of this because it's my job to share it with other people, and to share the healing and the glorious moments, and to share in the suffering, and to share in some of the solutions and diet changes, and managing side effects and all of that. And I don't want to miss out on that. And so I'm kind of trying to view these continued and kind of leftover issues through that lens of like, okay, Lord, you're allowing me to learn from this, because this isn't just about me. This is about you wanting to use me to bless other people. And I feel really humbled by that. And like, it's just such an honor to be able to step into someone's journey with cancer and with sickness, and just be trusted to carry that. And I'm learning how to do that well. I think it's going to take probably going to a good therapist too, to really learn how to do that well, so that I don't feel like I'm carrying all those burdens. So I'm trying to remember to just be like, Lord, you're in charge, and you're the healer, and you're the reason that any of us know anything about the way our bodies work, or the way that cancer functions, or how chemo works, or food as medicine, or any of that. And just constantly turning back to say, God, thanks that you made us. Thanks that you made our bodies so amazingly, and that there are some really smart people in the world that are doing amazing things. And I want to join in on that kind of army, because it's important, and it has a huge, huge opportunity to impact people in a really significant way. So yeah, today's been okay, but I have just been dealing with a lot of heavy stuff, and a lot of things that I've read talk about people kind of experiencing depression after treatment is over because you've had this really clear target, and then the target is gone and you still don't feel good, but it's not as obvious what you need to do, um, and then there's survivor's guilt and all this stuff. So yeah, some days I feel like I could just cry at the drop of the hat, and did a lot of that last week. But also was really, really blessed to be able to go up to Mount Hermon for the second half of the week and hang with Mike and my parents, and Kelly and her kids, and Brad and Jess and their parents, and all of our Mount Hermon crew. And Dave Burns and his wonderful children did some healing prayer with me, and there were really specific things that they were praying for healing for, and that was just really special. And even in that, there was still this kind of reminder for me, like, that I've learned this in the last few years, but I'm especially being reminded of it now, that um, my purpose is to learn from what is going on, and God is going to heal me, whether he does that instantaneously over the course of my life, when I go to heaven, whatever. Uh, but my job is to learn from being in pain and dealing with physical suffering, and learn from it so I can share it with other people and bring healing to other people. So I'm really trying to keep my mind open to that, and just kind of the eyes of my heart, so to speak, of like, okay, Lord, keep teaching me how to do this, because it's going to matter. I mean, it matters a lot now, and it's going to continue to matter a lot for the rest of my life. So yeah, thank you guys for continuing to pray. So many people have said, we're not done praying for you, and I appreciate that so much, because this journey is not over by any means, and there's a probably pretty long road to recovery. And one really specific way that you can be praying for me is just in self-discipline in the next 6 weeks, as I'm doing this really, really restrictive and challenging diet, because it's high stakes, and I got to get rid of candida and kind of get my insides back on track. So that's a hopeful thing, but it's going to be really hard. So I would love prayer for that, and just prayer that I would be well enough to be back at camp. I'm not going to be able to, I'm not even hoping to be there in a full-time capacity, because I know I'm not ready for that, but just to be able to be in a stable enough place that I can be there physically, and be able to give campfire talks and be, as present as possible while still pursuing all of this healing stuff for my digestive system and all of that. But that would be really, really wonderful. I was expecting to have my GI test answers a couple weeks ago, so I just got them this week. And I thought I'd be a little bit further along in the process by now, but that is okay. Tomorrow I am starting the gnarly fluconazole and the gnarly anti-candida diet, and think of me if you eat chia seed pudding, because that's going to be my breakfast for the next 6 weeks. And a lot of fat, a lot of veggies, a lot of yummy fatty meat. And yeah, hoping to avoid some of that die-off by doing liver detox and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I love you guys. You're the best people to have in my army and in our corner and on our team. So Mike and I are super thankful for you, and hope that you continue to be encouraged and educated about how God made our bodies and how amazing they are, and how to best take care of yours, because it's the only one you've got. And why not take care of it now? So I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.